Well, this isn't a good look. This is one of the directors of the new Doctor Who coming out and saying that something went wrong. Something went wrong under Disney, and this is not one of the older directors from maybe, the first era of Russell T Davies or whatever. This guy actually worked on some of the recent episodes of Doctor Who. And he's like, yeah, it sucked. He's admitting it sucks. Disney Doctor Who sucks. And we're going to take a look at that. Because, look, you can't hide this anymore. We've even got the Radio Times, which was doing major damage control for the show. Remember just a year or two ago, if you hated Doctor Who, you hated the direction of Doctor Who, you were literally Hitler. You were a Nazi, bigot, homophobe, whatever. I mean, look at this. This is from 2018. Doctor Who's timely challenge to racism, hatred, and Donald Trump. Like, okay. So that was sort of the beginning of the end. Now, some people would say that, before Jodie Whittaker, the Peter Capaldi era got very heavy-handed. Yeah, but at least Peter Capaldi was a damn fine doctor. Like, he is, honestly, of all the new Who doctors, he is my favorite, like, bar none. I just think he's amazing, and I feel that he did not have nearly enough to work with. Like 3/4 of his scripts were dog shit, and he didn't get the best companions. But man, that episode with River Song, the husbands of River Song, that was actually really good. Like, I would love to see him just with Alex Kingston, like a whole series of that, or pair him up with Missy as the regular companion. That would have been fantastic. But he was so good and so underutilized, and I really would have liked to have seen more seasons with him, but maybe he dodged a bullet because things got so much worse after he left. And look, a lot of people gave Jodie Whittaker a chance. I mean, everybody talks about the misogyny. Her first episodes were some of the highest rated in Doctor Who history. People were willing to give her a chance. And unfortunately, the show was not good. And apparently, it got worse. I noped out after they retconned the Doctor's origin. I'm like, this show is dead to me. There's no way I'm going back. And I even watched the specials with David Tennant. Like, that would have, like, they're like, hey, we're bringing Russell T Davies back, we're bringing David Tennant back, we're bringing Catherine Tate back. Murray Gold's doing the music again. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be freaking awesome. And then, the more you heard about it, the more you're like, yeah, they're not going to fix the show. They might actually make it worse. So it's basically the same shit show it was a couple of years ago, except it had a much bigger budget under Disney. And and I've said all along, the Disney version of the show looked really good. In fact, it looked so good, it kind of took me out of it, because Doctor Who hasn't looked that good since like the Matt Smith era. It didn't look that expensive. And this kind of happened to me with the Orville too. And they brought the Orville back, and everything looked so much better. I was also like, is this in the same universe, or what happened here? Like, everything got an upgrade. And now they're going to have to probably go back to the Doctor just kind of kicking around London or something. Maybe they'll break the TARDIS, because everything is going to be done on the cheap, because they're not going to have a partner. And Disney, Disney noped out after 2 seasons. The ratings were terrible. They tried to make Doctor Who into like a TikTok thing. They had musical numbers, and it was a disaster. But the damage was done before Ncuti Gatwa took over. Russell T Davies, I think his brain fell out somewhere along the way. Like, he said some really dumb stuff in public. I wish he wouldn't have. It definitely hurt the show. Made me not want to watch. David Tennant, I don't know what happened to David Tennant, but I'm like, dude, I always liked you. And he's just like out there with politics. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. Lots of people didn't care, because these are the worst ratings in the history of Doctor Who. Doctor Who was canceled before when it had better ratings back in the 80s. So Doctor Who TV has it. Doctor Who director says the show went wrong under Disney. What? Imagine that. Director Peter Hoare has delivered a blunt assessment of the show's short-lived Disney era, suggesting the high-profile co-production failed to deliver despite its improved scale. Speaking to Deadline while discussing his Blake 7 reboot, Hoare, I think it's Hoare, it's probably pronounced something else. It's probably like, how are? He cited Doctor Who as a cautionary example of how bigger budgets do not automatically lead to better storytelling. The director has previously helmed Doctor Who episodes A Good Man Goes to War, which is fantastic, alongside last year's The Robot Revolution and Lucky Day. Was Robot Revolution the one with the Planet of the Incels? Was that what? No, I don't know. I didn't watch that one. But yeah, so these are recent episodes. So it's not like he was, bitter because he wasn't being called back to direct Doctor Who. He just did some Doctor Who, and he's like, it's not good. And A Good Man Goes to War was a fantastic episode. I love that one. I don't think anybody would doubt the skills at the front line of the show, but something went wrong, he told the outlet. No. I actually do doubt the skills at the front line of the show. And there was a talk when this whole Disney thing went down that Disney was actually giving Russell T Davies notes, things they wanted to see, which I do believe because I know how they work because we've worked with them before a long time ago, different life. But yeah, I could totally see them doing that. He said, no, that's not the case. And I'm like, then why did it feel so damn Disney? I'm just saying it felt like a very different show. He said, I think there are lots of areas you could point fingers at, but ultimately it wasn't a better show with more money. And that's a good thing because we haven't got the money anymore. Nobody has. Yeah. Horror framed the Disney partnership as part of a wider industry problem where ambition and funding have not always aligned. Yeah. So, what happened with Doctor Who, as I understand it, was, Disney was trying to get people Disney Plus. They were trying to build their audience. Here was a show that had a built-in audience, and I think they were thinking, well, if we get them over to Disney Plus to watch Doctor Who, then they'll stay for our own stuff like Star Wars and the Orville and all that, and it didn't happen. Like, nobody watched the show, and they kept trying to gaslight people that would point out that the numbers were bad. They were like, oh, no, you don't have the full picture. We have to wait for the +7, and then the +17. No, we need the +30. To get a better picture. Oh, a lot of people are watching Doctor Who on TikTok, and that's a measure of success. And I'm like, no, Disney being Disney, because we speak Disney. Disney being Disney, if this show had fantastic numbers, they would be crowing about it. There would be pup pieces. They'd have parrot analytics like Doctor Who is the most watched show on Tuesday afternoons this month. They totally would have done something. They did it with Velma. HBO did that with Velma. People hate watched Velma, and they put a thing out about like Velma's got record viewership. Yeah, because people were watching it just to see how bad it is. And I think the same thing kind of happened with Doctor Who. People watched it because Russell T Davies was back. And even with David Tennant and Catherine Tate and Russell T Davies, they shot themselves in the foot with a double-barreled sawed-off shotgun in the very first episode. And they made it very clear that this was not... we weren't going home again. It wasn't the same show as it was in 2008, 2009. And... we had, the doctor getting lectured on pronoun usage when the doctor was literally just a woman like 15 minutes ago. That was weird. But yeah, people were like, they're just not feeling it. But the budget actually kind of took me out of it. I think in some ways you have to be more clever to tell good stories when you have limits. Right? When you have no limits and you're like, let's just have a big ass space battle and a bunch of Daleks flying around, whatever. It's like, no. It's more interesting when you can only tell a story with one Dalek because that's all you can afford. It's interesting. We're seeing a lot more outlets come out and say, hey, Doctor Who's been shit for years. And you were not allowed to say that just a couple of years ago. Like I said, this is 2018. I remember we used to get on Doctor Who videos, we used to get over 100,000 on pretty much every video we posted complaining about the Whittaker era and how bad it was. Cause this was one of my favorite shows. Like the entire family watched Doctor Who for years, and one by one, everybody just kind of fell off until I was the last man standing. But, I was even like, I'm out, man. Like I love Doctor Who so much that we downgraded our TV package. And I used to buy the episodes every week on Amazon Prime. It was the only series I think I've ever bought on Amazon Prime. But I would buy it because I wanted to watch Doctor Who so bad. And I'm like, well, the package we have doesn't have BBC America or whatever it was on. And so I was paying like $5 a week to watch Doctor Who because that's how much I loved it. And I was watching all the videos. I was watching all the YouTube channels, the theories, and who's River Song and who's the next Doctor and all this stuff. And I was like really into it. And then they just it's just like now I don't even care. And I'm like, oh, Doctor Who's still on. It's so sad. Right? It really is. The same kind of thing happened with Star Wars. Like I was a huge Star Wars fan, and in between movies, I'd watch all the channels, speculation. Some of it was really out there, but some of it was good. Read a lot of the expanded universe material. Back in the day when I was a kid, I was buying magazines when they were talking about, the prequel trilogy coming out. And it's so weird because I remember, I think it was CinemaScape I bought, and they had a big story on the prequels because they just announced Star Wars prequels were coming out. And they had a blue and silver Boba Fett on the cover because they're like, oh, there's going to be a whole bunch of clones like Boba Fett. And my God, didn't they predict Jango Fett pretty much, But they had a totally different idea what the Clone Wars was going to be. But I like the fan theories. Sometimes fan theories make the real thing disappointing because the fan theories are so much better. See also Stranger Things. So now I'm just at a point where I'm like, I don't even really get excited too much about anything. I'm actually excited when I watch a trailer. I'm like, oh, this didn't suck. Or I'll watch something I don't know anything about. And I'll be like, that was actually pretty good, right? So this is just 2018. I just want to show you what a different time this was. A challenge to racism and hatred in the U.S. and to Donald Trump himself has come from an unlikely source, a Time Lord. In the third episode of the latest series of Doctor Who, the Time Lord travels back in time to ensure Rosa Parks' famous bus protest takes place. Yes, the Doctor made Rosa Parks sit at the back of the bus. The white woman, the blonde white woman, made Rosa Parks sit at the back of the bus, tackling the issue of racism head on and lauding those who challenge it. Meanwhile, the fourth episode, Arachnids in the UK, features a Trump-like character, a self-obsessed and ruthless tycoon with presidential aspirations. The new series premiered to rave reviews. It stands in stark contrast to Trump's self-confessed nationalism and contempt for multiculturalism. And they're talking about the Yaz, and even early on in Whitaker's run, it was very clear Yaz had the hots for the Doctor, But it's just like this whole thing is like, well, that's it. We're going to stick it to Trump with Doctor Who. I'm like, come on, seriously? And everybody thought, well, this is the future, guys. And it's like, no, actually, those first couple episodes, people gave it a chance. They gave her a chance, and they were very, very ham-fisted in the messaging in that first season. And I think they actually did Whitaker a disservice because I think she could have been a good Doctor. And I know a lot of people don't like the idea of the Doctor being a woman. I would have, if it were me, I'd be like, look, let's just rewrite the rules of regeneration. It's a new, a regeneration cycle. Yeah, now I can have boobs. That very easy. Like one line would explain it, but no. We had to go retcon the Doctor's entire origin. Which I'm like, yeah, now I'm out. You could just explain it like, hey, River gave him some regeneration energy at one point in time. Now he can turn into a she because of her. Now that would have been a very easy thing to hand wave, and they didn't do it. No. We have to make sure the Doctor's no longer a Time Lord. And Russell T Davies came back and he didn't undo it, so I'm out. But anyway, long story short, having a director, a recent director on Doctor Who come out and say like, yeah, they threw a bunch of money at it, but it didn't help. There's some other people associated with the show, different screenwriters have come out and they've been throwing shade at it too. Everybody knows it's dog shit. They know Doctor Who is at its lowest I think it's ever been. And I don't know if there's any bringing it back. Like, you killed the golden goose. The Matt Smith era, especially, even here in the US, was massive. There were Doctor Who toys on the shelves at the toy stores at the time. You could buy all kinds of Doctor Who merch. You go to the UK Pavilion in Disney, and Disney ironically, which helped kill Doctor Who, but you went to the UK Pavilion, there's all kinds of Doctor Who stuff. Like, we were getting all the stuff that you guys were getting across the pond at the same time because Doctor Who was that big. We were getting the episodes at the same time. There wasn't a multi-month delay or whatever they were doing before with David Tennant. It was huge, and you killed it. Just like Star Wars, just like Marvel. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's not hard to get these things right? Just keep the characters in character. Do the best you can do within the parameters you have to work with. But Doctor Who could have continued to be a huge hit. You couldn't help yourselves, could you? You just couldn't help yourselves. Now, here we are. It's a freaking laughing stock. It's so bad the director's even like, yeah, just because they threw more money at it doesn't mean it's going to be any better. So I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.